Well, Gen G are doing better than we expected. Well, maybe not. For some of you out there who are LPL biased, hysterics. Well,
That's your name!
yeah, it is. I just threw it in because I was like, I can't blame Dagda.
Wait, didn't you just say as well that now you're Gen G because Chovy said thank you to you?
Oh, yeah,
backstage?
that is true. Chovy did say thank you to me, so now I'm just, I don't know
I
where
didn't
I
know
said.
you were so flip-floppy.
I just,
so
yeah,
easily
now I'm
bossed.
just confused.
Yeah.
All I know is Gen G took him to town in game number 1, and with a very early game, big brain mechanics, brain maneuvers, I think they did really well. I mean, I'm proud of them. Gen G absolutely slapped
Side
them.
apps is firing all cylinders.
Yeah.
Dagda and I were talking. I think what we both want to see, because you know, I'll take any excuse that I get to hype up my boy Pace, but he needs to do it without a 3-0 lead, and he needs to do it in a 2v2. And
Exactly.
if you're top after that, I don't think you should lane swap again. I don't think Gen G minds lane swapping at all. They're known for being an extremely smart team on the map, and there was another problem, and it was a tiny annoying Yordle in an airplane, and he's gone. He's taken out,
Magnificent
not allowed.
mustache, though.
Yeah, really good combs every day. I mean, I'm glad it's taken away. Top Esports doing their due diligence. The blue side here. Callista also taken away as a blue side ban, which is not something you see every day, unless you're TES that love this Lucian Nami 2v2 like the rest of the LPL.
Yeah, honestly, a insanely strong pick for top esports, but they are able to try and bully in the 2v2 and leverage this then in the mid game to start leaning in towards those sides. Ari also not banned away from Cream.
Yeah.
This is the other big one that we see a lot for the top esports mid laner.
I hope you guys like Zeri Lulu.
Ooh, we
that's
love it.
Aphelios Lulu is the other flavor. There we go. So Zeri Lulu.
Also vanilla or Neapolitan. That's
know.
great.
No, it's like those little chocolate sprinkles in there.
Okay, yeah.
It's different, guys.
This is the pick that Pace did get a lot of fame on last year.
Yeah.
Was incredibly strong at it. Do have to say that when we saw Holdout this year, it was fine. Not quite the same level. But the Lulu in particular, I think, is actually the more important part. Lulu is quite the early lane bully. Actually, also is quite strong into the Lucian because when he dashes in, can really try and force some trades with the polymorph. So, and it's also more likely, I think, that top is not going to lane swap. But for Gen G, if you have a Aphelios with a Crescendum, we'll see if they try to set it up. Instead, is Tian going to go towards the Sejuani?
Okay, so maybe set up for 369 later on as well. This guy who plays a lot of melee top laners. As Chovy this time, what has he got left? He's questioning with the Azir.
I'm also questioning the Sejuani. We've seen a lot of teams start to go, no, mid priority is the highlight. Because you've kind of got your, well, no pun intended, the cream of the crop with, you know, the Azirs, the Talias, the Corkis, the Oris, the this and the Ari. Now that you've already seen some of those banned away, you just get to ban more of those picks away and make Cream very uncomfortable in the mid lane. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ari ban coming through here as well, take that off the board and force Cream onto maybe something like the Talia, where he has had some success, but it hasn't been amazing.
But then outside of that, like, we go to things that can be volatile, Silas, Akali, right? And even though those are good historically for him, remember, his first international debut with a guy that has been criticized of having a small champion pool.
Also like the Viban in that regard, if you do want to go for a melee counter pick, obviously, in the LCK, we see the Yone in high-pressure situations. Some
can't all be Sayas.
I think it'd be fun, but Akali, even after last game, could be likely. Then again, you're also playing Akali this time into Lulu, so it might still be a consideration. The Chovy's Azir, though, obviously right now you're watching this, so don't tune out, but his performance against Hoa Life in the playoffs was one of the most brain-breaking, back-breaking 1v9s that we've seen in quite a while in the LCK. That was mostly, I think it was only, from the top of my head, on the tank Azir, which was nerfed with some of the nerfs.
That bot
to the
side
Azir.
river fight, I remember, was just disgusting.
Yeah, I do assume that is not going to be the case here. Is the Wei actually going to get taken away? So they are happy playing into the Ari, which is also my expectation here, Dagda.
Yeah, I think Cream is breathing a sigh of relief, to be perfectly honest, that he's get his hands on that. Going for the Lee Sin, though. This is big for Canyon. It does mean, though, you're kind of reliant now on Keen to be your main sort of engaged tool, unless Canyon is just him and can consistently make these kicks work, which I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying it's a lot of pressure on him.
But it's a great setup point, right? Whereas the setup coming from Lee Sin is, at least you know for top esports, they are full mid-game now, double downing in it. With 369 going back to an oldie, buddy goodie, he used to play a ton when he joined the LPL.
I'm wondering if you go like Ornn here. Ornn has never been bad into Renekton. Obviously, early game
And
you see
there's the setup we
Cryo.
talked about.
Exactly. Also provides the engage. It's also Keen, so I wouldn't be shocked if it goes completely the other direction. And the LCK has loved these type of hard... And we saw it in the last game as well. Not a lot of front line. In the last game, it was only Alistair. This time, there's none.
And now Top Esports go, do we swap again? Because it's the same story as essentially what the Vayne is, right? Like, you've seen it so many times that TF is not great when he ends up in these lane swap scenarios. But honestly, I think for Top Esports, lesson learned last game, it's let's just go for the standard lanes. Let's try and force these advantages where we can. And if you can get that lead for JackeyLove and Mako in the 2v2, we've seen them able to take over inside lanes with the Ari, with the Renekton, and try and lean into pressure from mid to sides.
I mean, at least you have something on Cream that has looked great historically in the LPL. Again, internationally, let's see how it goes against Chovy when, let's not forget, game number 1, that lane wasn't a normal lane. Keen came through in the level 1, zoned him out with range, which Keen has again here, and Cream was up in experience, but behind in the game for a little bit. He had to kind of force his way through, as did the rest of TES. It was the mind games in game 1 that Gen G played missions with against TES.
You say this is comfort for Cream, and look, obviously we're highlighting the draft, but he hasn't had the best performances on it here at MSI, right?
Damn it, Dacta.
We've seen the nerves, we've seen the issues, and we've seen what Chovy is capable of on this Azir. So Cream definitely needs to wipe the sweat off, get himself focused, and make sure that Top Esports can use what is heavy comfort for them to take a win here against Gen G.
For Gen G, a lot of comfort. I think they have to be respectful of the top side in particular. Sejuani, Renekton, Ari, if they do get going, can be quite tough. Bot lane, self-explanatory. That is going to be something that Pazerlands have to step up from the form that we saw from them. We've seen glimpses of it this tournament, but this would, I think, be their biggest test yet against JackeyLove and Mako.
This is going to be a massive test as we start to get on into game number 1. Gen G, very convincing winning game number 1 with the lane swaps. But now, it's down to the story of game number 2 and what have Gen G brought to the table.
You can hear every time LPL suffers, the gyos get louder. Every time the team needs more support, Chengdu continues to erupt, and TS need it for sure. Another TS style of composition, definitely to be sure here. With JackeyLove and Mako on that strong 2v2, one that both JackeyLove and Elk, excel at, especially in the regular season and playoffs.
On a highlight, Chovy has indeed gone for Tank Azir again. Obviously, has an incredible amount of damage with the rest of his team, so it is understandable, even with some of the, I think it was base damage nerfs that came through.
Yeah, on the W,
meaning that he will be dealing a little bit less damage. We have actually seen these Azirs become such a menace. There's also 2 different styles where you can actually build like Leandries into an actual tank. And we've seen you just go Grasp, but then you do go for a more damage-oriented build.
I think this will be the more tank-oriented build, though, because as we highlighted, look, you don't have the best of engage tools coming in onto Gen G, and one of the reasons why we started to see this Tank Azir build come to fruition was that you could play that engage style, slide and glide in, get the swoop and boop, knock people into your team. And if Chovy's able to survive the initial outburst, he should be in a decent spot then to try and help carry these fights. And with Pays on this Aphelios, the late game opportunities in these team fights that Gen G have from a sheer damage quantity perspective is sky high.
Maybe that's exactly what you need, right? We don't have any hard engage in the end. We have a lot of scaling from Gen G, but Chovy acting as that intermediary sounds right about where he needs to be. As for TES, you can see these lanes going decent in sides. Keen, of course, outranging as you'd expect, but bottom side, level 2 hit first. Heal burn onto Pays. They just exemplify further. Pays going to take the autos almost to the death. He's got Severum, but he's going to need more healing than that to get through this.
That's an answer right there. That's just not allowed. You know the level 2 spike is coming. Pays and Lahens were aggressively contesting.
Normal lane.
But not in time. Exactly, normal lanes. JackeyLove and Mako coming up future early on. But we already talked about Gen G and the relative lack of engage. I also want to flip it around, especially with Cleanse available.
Please.
I don't know to which extent Top Esports is going to have a great tool, right? Obviously, Tian has his ultimate, but outside of that, I think a lot of this is again going to come down to who gets the early leads as Canyon and Tian. They should go to Canyon with the Q execute.
Wait for it. Okay, Patience is there. And the Q sets it up nicely. Tien trying to get it off the tip here, but no one here to support as Canyon keeps getting in his face because the laners are preoccupied.
Exactly. Chovy's done a great job against Cream to get that early lead that he needed, and that's opening up Canyon with the push on top side expected for the Twisted Fate. It'd just be annoying to Tien. Can move on towards this bottom side if he wants to.
Oh my God.
He's been spotting him out there as well. But 369, at least having TN here should be able to get some of these creeps underneath the tower.
This is something that goes back to when Canyon still played with Showmaker. Mid lane prio, look for the early invades.
Yep.
Back then was mostly to generate really big farm leads. This time around, it's just to apply pressure and keep the Sejuani on the back foot.
And Canyon knows he's won. He spotted out TN there, giving up on Gromp, moving down into the spot side, but you still are pushing mid, so Canyon can rotate across and contest with Chovy to try and look for this Scuttle Crab contest. Although actually, I take that back, sorry. Bream has pushed in mid, so should be TN favourite here.
You say that, Canyon does go to his blue, spotted out on the rotation as well as TN now gets in his face, but Canyon has smite advantage. TN has just used it as 369 tries to get a better trade up in the top side. Keen going to take PTA here as 369 falls into the matchup and at least get something back for the Renekton, although not as much as you'd hope for. Getting something down on Acropolis down to speed. Go pays. Might be dead. Light Slinger flushed away from, but Jackie loving the 2v2 cleanses. And first blood goes over to Mako. He resets his Lehend, finds Glitterlands to get the kill. Acroprism's good on the return as Mako is close to getting enough damage himself, but a 1-for-1 with both AD carries dropping down.
Wave state, I think, favorable there for top esports, but both kills go to the support. Both supports actually are the ones that end up getting the kill. Flashes used by both. Jackie also no cleanse. Right from the get-go, explosiveness in the bot lane.
We've been thinking about this all wrong. We thought it was Jackie versus Pays, but it's Mako and Lehend trying to show who the real carry is. But Canyon, good read here. Knowing that TN wanted to try and come back up towards this top side to help out 369 crash the wave. So going to be there to support Keen, make sure no dive can happen.
Big thing there, of course, with the Renekton is that even though you don't win the trade that we saw earlier on to Keen, Sejuani Renekton so insanely strong and very, very quickly setting up the permafrost as we take another look at this bot side play.
Great bubble from Mako. Catches Pays as he's trying to make his way back through that ranged minion line. And then Jackie Love Cleanse comes through, but just enough damage on Lehends to finish him off. You kind of talked about the damage of this Lulu in the early laning phase. You get to see it there up against Jackie.
Now we're mid. I mean, both mid laners are getting pretty low. Mana bar expleting as well. I hope that's a word as Mako gets another Acro Prison and Lehends just fights it off. And as both supports move in, you can see Pays now with Infernum getting the push as they play the 1v1.
We'll have to see what the early objective contests are going to look like. Thus far, both teams have been very active on the map. Keen just using his ult as a pseudo teleport does mean that for top esports there is actually an opportunity here to play a little bit more aggressively on the map. Normally, even with TF in top, we have seen a lot of teams just have him back, make his way over, but he will get prio on the wave, will get the shove in, meaning that Canyon can just take these grubs.
And because you're still waiting for Cream to get in towards mid and get priority there as well, TN going to look for the reset, but it means that these top side grubs should be gone before TN really gets into position, and from there, you kind of get to move across as Canyon and still have contest for Dragon. So at the moment, Gen G doing a really good job of playing off these pushing lane states and top side to get these early objectives and still be able to contest top esports.
I think for, again, the onus is on top to find these type of picks.
Well, remember, Chovy reset, so there might be an advantage. The pick setup is beautiful. Canyon flashes away. The new jungler of Gen G will safeguard out the back of the wall and get out with the objective and no kill.
Really good stuff there from top esports to at least get the flash from Canyon, push him back, may even look for the follow-up play. As you can see, TN is going for the Scuttle Crab, but Bream still hovering to see if Canyon is going to show his face past his own jungle line.
Chovy's probably like, where is my mid laner?
There he is.
Chovy does have the level advantage for now as the wave crashes in
He
again.
needs the farmer's grasp stacks, man. Like, he needs the health,
True.
he needs the stacks. Build kind of relies on it. As we do see, as expected.
Oh, all in.
What's that prior? Ooh, Chovy.
Maybe just wanted to set up for a second grab stack. The bubble again, culling block. Those minions. Gen G's lifeblood right now is Pays safe from the damage.
These bubbles from Mako, though, have been so clutch in this
clutch.
bottom side, continuously catching on towards Pays, and sure, they're culling down, but still a little bit of damage done. Top esports going to reset on the bottom side. 369 in trouble, potentially on this top side, as Canyon here to support Keen again on the push-outs.
Not in the perfect spot. Canyon just backing away for now. Cream also moving from mid, so Canyon paying respect.
I think 369 also had an inkling as, Big
wave used.
Cream spotted.
And he's found Keen instead, just goes to the top laner, goes immediately pop, waiting for the charm, Orb of Deception, gets the electrocute out, but 369 is not pulling a flash, not pulling an ulti, and Keen Summoner is going to be the end trade.
Still got the Ghost. It's going to be nice. Give 369 a little bit more threat in the long lane if Keen is pushed up. Chovy sees Mako arrive, but Azir, notoriously slippery. Also does look like it is going to be just the Leandries at the very least to start with.
Still though, Cream missing out on that mid-wave experience because Chovy was able to push in. It's kind of been a couple of times now we've seen Cream go for a roam and look for a play, but give up on a mid-wave experience because of that. So I'm curious to see if this is going to continue, where Chovy kind of gets to farm and be that late game menace, or if Cream is going to find success on these roams, because it feels like that's what top esports need. They just haven't been able to find it quite yet.
One of the big things for me as well is that the bot lead is growing. Jakilov and Mako showing their expected dominance yet again, as TES in particular really, really struggling. But the overall pace of the game is still very low, and that's something that any Gen G fan knows that they are always going to be happy about when it comes to the mid to late game, the skirmishes, the movements around the map. This team is just built different in the LCK. No one can quite match them.
Top Esports trying to. Again, we talk about the pace they're trying to create as Chovy also moves down, but Lehens, after getting spotted out, was all for the Dragon move. As Pink is still coming down, Canyon's still down here, but TS on the ward are going to start this off.
369 has also shifted down from top side to provide a little bit of extra cover if they need it. Top starting up. I don't think Gen G can really commit to this though. But 369 more than likely going to start to walk back up top side.
Someone is available for Jakilov as well. Canyon doesn't take the Sonic Wave, and another one as it lands will do nothing. The Dragon just taken here to open up the game at 10 minutes in. Gen G looking for the pick off the backside. Arctic Assault is now up.
Big thing though is Gen G, they do not get the Dragon. There's no one waiting. Jackie's fine. But that is, again, a couple of minions lost to 369 going over in that roam. And it's those continuous moments that have, even with the gold lead going very heavily towards Jackie and Mako thanks to their great laning, means that the gold, still the gold lead at large is, even though it's mildly in favor of Gen G. But again, Gen G, when it comes to the mid to late game, that's always what they're going to look towards. We also see Keen, particularly once you get that Shiv, the pressure of this TF is going to become even more obnoxious to deal with. I think 369 right now, this is where you want to look, right? Level 9, got maxed out on the Q. Try and punish this immobile TF.
Yeah, you're even moving Jakilov and Mako up as well. They really want to contest for these void grubs. Canyon going to get them on spawn. Now, again, you are going to get a trade, though. It's Jakilov who will lose a wave on bot side to make this play happen. As he has been spotted,
should just miss out.
Oh, no, Canyon's here.
I mean, 4 for the LCK champions. Tien trying to deny, stop from giving 5 or even 6. Canyon just backs away. The job already done, the experience already gained. Remember, he is up a level right now comfortably. So are a lot of people I'm looking at. I mean, I even see Chovy with a constant lead and a second turret plate about to be gathered here as Cream walks up to him, wants the charm, misses that. Jakilov and Mako are like, man, we need to play some tempo heaven. Into Keen, the culling comes out. He gets forced away, and that's the starting trade for TES as Canyon takes the Sonic Wave. Nothing more going to happen of it. Just, again, more pressure added up to try and stop the rush.
Meanwhile, though, in bot side, TES actually has Crescendum, so they are farming plates down there. Only job that Canyon and Keen have is make sure no one dies and make sure that Jackie and Mako don't get too much free gold off of this topside turret.
They should be able to get a good amount, though. Canyon is the only one here. Keen has completely abandoned it. It looks like they're going to look for the dive on 369 instead, with Keen having that ultimate to get in towards the play. There is no real way for top esports to get down here because no teleport available for Cream.
I mean, we are going to see Destiny used in the meantime, but the wave is cleared out. 369 has a counterplay massive as turret still falls on down, but 369 has the ability to flash kills, so Keen's out. The turret ends up being the first for Gen G.
Still successful play for Gen G, though, because they were mainly looking to get that turret. Cream was also roaming towards the bot side, so Gen G don't want to extend the play. Renekton is insane. I think it's Chovy.
Different Chovy sends Cream backwards, and Chovy's just out after a turret shot, trying to steal back the blue, but Canyon in his face again. Tien is getting another world champion's beef.
That's so disrespectful from Canyon. That is his weak side of the map. He's the one who should be careful. He's just like, no, yoink, mine. Immediately backs on it up. And top esports, they don't even get the tower. They're worried about the reset from TES and Lehens coming through with that first item completed, being able to move up into this top side and contest them. So instead, they're going to look for the reset. So in the long run, 369, yes, gets a little bit of CS and experience back against Keen because he managed to collect the wave on bot side, whereas Keen went for the dive, but it's still Gen G massively winning on the map.
I mean, I'm just looking at the individual gold leads. You can see over 369 thanks to King's passive. Jungle lead is starting to pile up with Canyon taking over on his classic Lee Sin again. Then I'm looking at Chovy and Cream, as we saw in the lane, as you guys mentioned, Cream, when he wasn't in that said lane, was starting to lose out on CS. Like, we are also seeing that starting to pile up with Leandries picked up now already By Chovy, he's doing 132 CS at 13 minutes again.
And though this time we did get to see the 2v2, and Jackie and Mako really got the better there.
Yep.
Because of the plays that Gen G have made around the map, I think the gold was like 800 gold for Jackie earlier, has now gone down to only 500. And it's just the way that Gen G move around, play around these waves and these turrets.
In the isolated 2v2, though, I still give it to Jackie and Mako, and that's why I was surprised to see Jackie and Mako open on top side. Yes, you will match Pays and Lehens, but I think you want to look towards Dragon in 55 seconds time. So they send Cream top, doesn't have the TP, but can easily clear waves. And Jackie and Mako kind of look a bit lost. They clear out mid wave, you don't have a wave to play for mid turret plates off. So instead now, they're going to clear out this wave and try and look for the Rift Turret spawn that has just come up.
I think the thing that's most impressive here is that Gen G just give no options. Like, a lot of other teams will walk into top esports for the cross-map play, or they'll walk into pockets of vision that have been so intelligently set up. This is why, I guess, Gen G in the past, maybe, is this their strongest form, Chronicle? Like, what are we looking at here? Because this is a deadly showing, just like it was against Fnatic.
I agree. 1-1 at 14.5 minutes. Deadly indeed. As an LCK fan, you know, I appreciate my more slow-paced game. I don't know what you guys are doing. This is absolute cinema to me.
Yeah, that's all right.
I do think, though, this is where top esports kind of are at their most comfortable, where they can try and play off of Jackie on illusion and lean in towards these picks on sides and make plays like this, because Keen isn't in a position where they can really step up. Tien has come back out, so it's to contest on the mid wave and look for Dragon, which is just spawned.
Colin comes through. He's just going to go onto Lehens in the end, half health.
This is one of the big moments we always talk about with Lucianami. It's not really the laning phase anymore where they excel. It's these moments in the mid game. So Gen G is going to have to play very respectful. One misstep, you get burst down, and that's the end of your fight.
The power we talked about, no culling, but still the tidal wave. The ulti from Tien is a whiff. Canyon safeguards away, re-engages, flashes himself away. The kick from 369 to send him outward as Pays runs on him, but a double TP. Lehens almost dead at the start of the play in front of Dragon. Pays finds Tien, no smite there, and Pays takes it. Gets hit over the wall, but Chovy's ultimate doesn't do too much, and top esports have the health bars. And Lehens and Canyon run for their life. Jackie Love still with a form of engage, and Lehens gets out, Glitterland zones, but the Dragon was taken by Pays at melee range.
Tien died in the pit thanks to Pays. So Pays is like, cool, I'll scoop that Dragon out from underneath you. He does go down as a result. It's a 1-for-1, but that Dragon steal is massive for Gen G.
Big win as well, because that, I think, was one of the moments where if top can find the target, if they get the kill on Canyon here and blow him up, that can just be the end of it. Canyon then goes back in, I think, looking for Jackie, has to flash immediately. And if Chovy is already here, this fight, I think, could have looked much better. Instead, it is a little bit split, but with Tien dying, the Dragon is available.
And I think it's a mistake from 369 chasing Lehens there. Should have played frontline for Jackie Love. Should have tried to be there, but instead, Jackie Love can't get in. Exactly. They give access to the pit to Gen G, and Jackie Love just can't really get the damage off that he wants. And it's these mistakes that people are looking at on the international stage for 369, saying, look, mate, you're supposed to be the best. You're supposed to be coming off the team fighting prowess of JDG. Where's that gone?
That's the thing. Last year at MSI, we saw 369 be... I think by the end of the tournament, plenty of people were appreciating him. But coming in, he was an underappreciated part of how good that team could team fight. He bought so much space, always knew where to be at any given point. And now Gen G again, 1.5k gold lead. And with the Hextech Drake in particular, I think you're going to be feeling great about taking away this Dragon from top.
And they may even take away the top turret as well from top. Top esports not in a position to really get in towards deep vision on this river. Immediately they're starting to rotate Keen up. They've already got the push there for Chovy as well. They're playing so well around the side lane.
It starts off for Lehens, have been half HP TP as well. They really want this. They want to stop Gen G from taking all the pace away themselves. Tien takes the Hex Gate, runs on in at melee. Lehens gets the face of it again, and 369 joins on in. Tidal Wave at max range, but top esports are separated here. Lehens buys time, also absorbs the ulti. Bell's there, Cream chases. How deep are we going? Cream, what are you doing? His debut to the international stage, and he's chasing a fairy.
Lulu is the biggest bait in this game. Both fights now, top esports have all in on the little Yordle, and both times it's come back to bite them at the end.
I mean, it could have gone from bad to worse, or could it get better? That's the question. With the smite slowing 369 down, he gets a Fist of God, and Canyon just looks at him and says, look at what's happening mid.
Of all people, never chase Lehens. I'm swearing, this guy is such a troll.
He's the Singed player. Come on, you have to know it.
Exactly. And half the time, you know, you go in, you kill him, but the other half, here, Cream massively overchases. Even with Pays whiffing the ultimate, it doesn't really matter because they just don't have the damage to actually take down. First the extension with the blast cone, then the wave doesn't actually find anyone as Keen sidesteps it, the knock up, the stun, and then the instant kills there from Lance. Just leave it at that, you can take the Herald.
Exactly, you've already won, you got what you needed, but Cream overextends, trying to make the pick happen.
He gets the kill as well.
Can't even get through, and I mean, you can see how happy Gen G are with that one.
Oh,
they never should have been able to pick that one up.
Aphelios was there, he could have gotten the last. Nope, not allowed.
I mean, this is not about AD carries anymore. 2 kills for Mako, the Hens needs 2 kills. That's how this game is going.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, look, it's really not about AD carries anymore because for Jaculov, even though he's at 2 items, like, Pays is starting to catch up. Pays is starting to get to the carry point as well. 1.5 items, almost 2 for the Aphelios. I'm scared for TS because Gen G are 2k gold ahead at 19 minutes and they've played this early game really well.
Oh, Jan.
Sonic Wave stolen, ulti used, sends it into Pays. The kick is just the delivery system. I didn't know they delivered it this time, but Canyon's open all night.
The combo is absolutely insane from Gen G. Since he's been able to get in there, Jaculov wants to try and return.
Okay, Carling's going to bring it out. Dodges by time. Canyon's in once again. The kick is down from the last play as Chovy now gets to play with his range, but again, that Destiny, they're so scared of where Keen's going to go.
They couldn't go in. They have so much burst, and that's one thing, though. I do think we see a lot of Lucians where eventually their callings becomes more like a friendly suggestion. There isn't really a front line on Gen G. I do think Jackie is going to maintain a really high level of threat because there is no one that's going to be able to tank a full calling and just shake it off. But that doesn't matter as much because I feel like Gen G have been playing so well around the effective range of this calling, and eventually the sustain from the members is going to be a nightmare to deal with.
And I actually think this is top Esports not playing well around it.
Yeah, let's pause. I mean, Mako might be the one who dies in the end. He flashes away, but the range comes through anyway. Pays is hitting hard. Tidal Wave used. Canyon dodges away from the Aqua Prison. As Tien now flies in. He's got ult, he's got flash, and he's got a means of control, but all around the Dragon, Gen G burn down the fish.
And now they're still going. 369 trying to get in on the side. Pay's going to keep him out of this, make sure that he's able to collect this wave. Dragon is still up and available, and they desperately want to seek that one on Gen G's side.
I hear you both getting antsy. I hear you both feeling the tension from TS's side. And, you know, coming into this, we're talking a lot about how, like, man, I feel like Gen G always have a weakness against LPL teams. I feel like Gen G always lose that best of 5, right?
They do.
They have each other.
Literally
TS.
every time, Hysterics.
And you know what? LCK fans must be laughing right now.
They definitely are, and honestly, I think it's one, Gen G playing a phenomenal game. Do not get me wrong, they're playing incredible, but also Top Esports not playing to the ring conditions. They have been so good at, hey, we will take the push in mid, we will set up vision, we will play off of Jaculov's pressure, but this game has not been that. They have overchased, they have overextended, and they have got caught with very little vision and may do so again right now.
One of the big things about Gen G, which is why they're so good against T1 as well, is that they have such a good capability of slowing down a game, of only playing when they decide that it is time, and I think Top Esports is really struggling at dealing with that.
I mean, look, Gen G, you'd think that TS would be such a good counter matchup for them, but they have been slowed with no means to speed the game back up. And in this game particularly, once again, around Dragon, Gen G are pacing themselves well. Second Dragon picked up in a Hextech Soul Rift, and Jaculov sits mid, tries to find something. Chovy's going to get Aqua Prison, but there's no culling to come through, no means to step up again. And Gen G find the objective without cause.
It also feels, though, like Top Esports are kind of chasing their tails a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Keen doesn't have ult up and available. We can see 369 trying to hover with this team in case Keen ends up popping up and he needs to be at the fight immediately. But he has the teleport. Top Esports didn't have access to River. They could have played for pressure onto this top side and then using this now, be in a position to threaten the mid lane dive, but instead they're late to top wave. Look at where Lehens is already working with Canyon to deny Top Esports access to the mid lane turret, and Top Esports are playing a second or two behind all the time, and Gen G are defending perfectly now.
Canyon going deep though, hang on, he stepped too far forward, and Top Esports punish the jungler. You'd expect to take over further, has just been hit.
Pretty big moment there for Top. Should be able to, at the very least, apply some pressure here towards the mid lane. They still don't want to overextend though. Keen is hovering towards the river. You can see, I think this is one of the big points that makes the TF so valuable. It's that at any point, you think if you overextend, if you step forward, because ideally, if you kill the enemy jungler, at least posture towards Baron. For something, the Top Esports They don't want to take the risk, and Canyon, his mistake won't be punished.
I think it's also how well Gen G have controlled side lanes, right? You would ideally like to have Cream in a position where you can group 5-man mid, outnumber Gen G on that mid lane turret, but Keen has done a really good job of putting that wave right into that tier 2 on bot side, so Cream has to go and deal with it. You haven't had the push for 369 on the top side either, so there's a little map pressure to really draw Gen G out from the turret lane underneath this mid lane turret.
Well, 23 minutes. We see that mid lane turret standing so damn strong against TES, but we see Gen G still with a gold lead, but more importantly, items that are stacking up on these carries we wanted to give more time to. 3 almost there for Paige. He's got the pickaxe and be advancing shortly. You can also see Chovy starting the tank build up here with Zhonya's and Warden's Mail already in the kit.
Yeah, that's going to be the Frozen Heart next, I imagine. This is, I think, a big window for top, because right now, Pace, because he's behind, sitting on 2.5 items, Jackie has his IE done. Once you get to the later stages of the game, I think it's going to become much harder for him to have a reliable impact.
True.
And one of the issues we talked about earlier, Pace, of course, has cleansed himself, but with the McKill's rush from Lahens, for starting fight for top is so hard.
It's a good reaction, though, but the Aqua Prism won't do enough. Jackie Love has to flash away and leave his support behind. TSDP'd into this, but into a choke. Pace is free firing with Infernum. 369 gets the kill onto Canyon, but he's only an afterthought as Chovy runs on in and threatens his own ulti. TS running away. They get an ulti thanks to Tien. Culling comes through the charm as well, but Chovy is a tank.
He's a tank!
TS doesn't die, and Gen G still wipe him for a trade.
And that's such a big investment from top. That was double TP from 369 and Cream trying to get something out of that. Crescendum available. We'll see if Gen G want to actually start his Chovy TP. You got to imagine they're going for it.
You can see, though, they're going to set up the bait. Tien knows that he's on, or they're on the barn, but he's low. TP now into mid lane. There's 369 is cost.
He's been found out. The gold card won't stand as long. I believe we have Lamont there on the boot. So now for top esports, as they run through the choke, they try and get out and draw Gen G nearby. The Baron attempt has been stopped. At the very least, a small win.
Yeah, a little win. They will lose their top side to Gen G, though, as top esports. And now a Canyon back out in the Rift. They're just immediately going to start this up again. Chovy keeping Jackie Love and Mako out of the picture, pushing in this mid wave.
Just to put in perspective, Chovy is sitting at almost, he's at 2.8k HP. He is genuinely tanky as Gen G started the objective.
Well, he's got flash available as well, and I'm watching him running in for the steal. Tien is denied, kicked away. Chovy the tank again, happy to absorb. It's level 16. He rears his head in, jumps on it, and we're back in service. The preacher, the minister, the deity himself sends up for an easy double. 369 is cannon fodder, and a team fight for Gen G in front of Baron is what they deserve.
Baron taken, and Gen G decide to still take the fight. Cream completely unable to join thanks to Keen's zoning. And Chovy sweeps in, finds the one member that maybe could have pulled TES through. And that is looking like Gen G taking over this game as well.
And it's the patience from Chovy. He gets the flash from 369 because he says, look, if you don't go, I can get this ult. But he holds onto the ult. He holds onto the flash. He doesn't go for the proc. He knows he's got bigger hunt on the menu. And it's Jackie Love that he wants. And we'll get to see it here. Kick from Canyon keeps Tien out of the pick. But watch the split. Gen G immediately split away from Mako's ultimate. It hits onto no one. Keen keeping Cream out of the equation. Sets up for Chovy with the flash that was just burnt by the rest of the team. And now 369, he's caught behind the Emperor's Divide as well. So Gen G get to finish him off as a 2-for-1 special.
The right instinct there. Cream trying to find access to the backline, but it's so hard to find flanks against this Twisted Fate. Don't really get to abuse Fog the way you normally might as Kane. He's going in.
I mean, Keen just teleported in himself, though. Hang on a minute. He runs into the fodder himself, and top esports take a small win yet again. With the Baron pushing in, though, it has to continue his tidal wave. Finds Lahens, but not Paige. Look at him stepping up. Now I believe he has 3 items and cares not what you think.
And we talked a lot about this game. We thought that it was going to be Jackie Love versus Paige, but it feels like it's a little bit of Chovy and Canyon versus the world. They've been so good in this game. And now with Chovy opening up on the mid wave as well, they managed to get the inhibitor turret. Tien trying to see if you can find Chovy. No ult.
Still a tank. I've got to remind everyone at home. Flash or no flash, that guy is still struggling to die.
He has Frozen Heart, and he's almost 3.2k HP.
Okay.
Just to put in perspective. And that's the reason why Chovy, up until this point, has only played Corki and Aesol. And the Azir was just sitting there waiting. Top used or Top Esports rather, used 2 bans on taking away the picks that we've only seen him up until this point. He's like, nerfs? I don't care. Doesn't matter.
But it's also just, there's so much pressure on this like mid-jungle from Gen G to find those engages. We talked about it coming out of draft. You don't have your traditional engage tool. Yes, you can use Keen in the TF, but it is very hard to get these fights started. But the execution from Canyon and Chovy, I mean, the CCs in the acronym are the initials. They've been so good at finding those moments to step up and shut down Top Esports.
One of the big things is that Top also doesn't have that much range. Outside of Jackie with his calling, a lot of them are actually required, especially when you start running behind, to play into Gen G. And in that case, it doesn't really matter as much that you don't have that much engage.
I mean, I love the range point. Even more so, I love what Gen G are doing, playing calm, calculated League of Legends yet again. And Top Esports forced at the back end. Cream tries to find a pick with Spirit Rush now invested. And Gen G just say, okay, fine, we'll wait for the next wave to come in now.
It's also how well Gen G been controlling the vision behind them. Constant sweepers, constant denial of vision, constant denial of potential TPs. Because you can see here, Top Esports are trying desperately to find some way in on the top end, but they can't.
I take it back. Calling actually doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Jovi's a tank. There's Redemption.
Yeah, Redemption. God, it's rough. 369 does what he can. He hits the side lane, gets objective bounty. As they push in for the wave, you can see Tidal Wave forces Canyon to get on out of there. 369 with a flanking angle, but he's like, no way am I touching that. The base now open, and Gen G one step away from moving to an easy match point. When we said Top Esports would bring them down in the mud, just like they did against Fnatic, just like they did in the first round against TL. But Gen G is so clean right now. They had a bath.
They're using the bodies of Top Esports as a bridge to a Game 3, as a bridge to that upper bracket, and continue the crusade forward.
Canyon into Chovy, baby, yeah! I love this new mid-jungle duo from Gen G. As they wipe the floor with Top Esports yet again, let it be known, Gen G is performing internationally. Gen G is blowing the water out of this series, and Gen G has silenced the crowd once again in yet another game. 30 minutes, calculated League of Legends, and I'm getting excited for LCK's first seed. I don't know if I should say it, Chronicler, but man, this team looks good.
I think you're allowed to get a little bit excited after that performance, Hysterics, and particularly for that man in the mid lane. He has been there with Gen G, and ever since he started winning LCK titles in summer 2022, he has not stopped. The first man to ever get a 4-peat in the LCK, and the one thing that just kept evading him last year as at MSI was a lot of hype, and he just did not deliver. And thus for this tournament, at least up until this point, looking very different.
Yeah, Cream kind of getting his first taste of what real international mid lane competition is, and it hasn't looked great for Cream. Chovy definitely putting him in his place, but let's be real, it is a step up across the board from Gen G. Keen has had a great performance both games on carries. Canyon has been running TN around everywhere in the jungle. There is no real foothold for Top Esports into this
And even the one foothold you'd expect hasn't been getting to perform, because either it's a lane swap or the lanes that actually meet in the end, and matters not when Pays and Lahand are also having a bit of a field day too. Game 2 done and dusted. We'll throw to the analyst desk to tell us how Top Esports reverse sweep, right? Right, guys? Reverse sweep.
Yeah. Is that it? Okay, well, I have some things for reverse sweep. And did I hear Maurits praising Chovy in like a way that was like
international Chovy,
singularly talking to the camera in an expose?
Oh no!
What are you
calling him out for a monologue?
Oh my god! No, I didn't say it. Anyway, Sovereign so far from Gen G. We also have to remember this Gen G has huge problems taking down LPL teams. Usually, right?
Yeah.
It's been since 2017, in fact, that they have done it, and now they're on match point. Why?
They're playing more like they did domestically than I think they have in other previous Chovy iterations of Gen G. I mean, this game never even felt losable for them, if that makes sense. Like in game 1, even after the lane swap gave them a huge advantage, they had some iffy fights, and this was them only being up 3,000 gold, but you can just see the coordination with which they started, finished the Baron, and then chased afterwards. Like, look how strong Pays' Aphelios was at this point. It's just, it's over.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to call out Pays Aphelios here, actually, because this is something that they are super comfortable playing, right? It is his most played champion with almost a 63% win rate. He is like, if they go back to these style of compositions with him on a hyper carry, I'd actually argue he's a lot more comfortable with that than he has been this split, where people have been like, oh, he's not looking as good as he did his rookie year on stuff like the Aphelios specifically. So this is like perfect Gen G comfort zone, especially for that bot lane, which we were kind of asking to step up if Gen G was going to take this entire tournament.
Yeah, it's quite surprising that he is the AD carry that we're talking about if it's sub versus Jackie Love.
I mean, listen, this was, Emily and I had a conversation during draft of like, oh, how's the lane swapping going to play out? Because ultimately, the Lucian Nami a lot of times forces people to swap. It didn't force Gen G to swap, but then they also didn't necessarily win that lane. It was actually first blood over to TES, which was then traded back with the supports ending up getting the kills. They went toe-to-toe enough with Jackie Love that he was neutralized, and then I'd say Gen G's overall map play and team fighting is what was able to decide the game, because they stopped Jackie from deciding it.
Yeah, and for me, it's really all about how they play around mid-pressure, right? Like we talked about how in game one, the big part of the lane swap was that they kept Cream out of the game and they kept Keen in the game, where 369 was completely zoned off multiple waves, right? Here, they play around Chovy's Azir, and when Cream was trying to roam on the Ahri, kind of like you want to push out, affect side lanes, he really wasn't able to be that playmaker, and they weren't able to reset the wave, right? And I think Gen G are absolutely stellar at playing around Chovy's pressure.
Yeah.
You also wanted to talk about, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. I didn't know the B-roll was coming.
So this is the thing that impresses me. There's a lot of things that impress me. One of the many things that impresses me about Gen G is their ability to look like they have structured team fights when you look at those champions, and it doesn't look like those champions should give you structured team fights. Because if we were to take a more traditional stance, you'd say, where is the front line? You need a front line for an Aphelios Lulu and ADTF in the top lane. But they really don't, because what they do through the side lanes, they always have one pushed, they're always spread out, they're always set up first, so then they can actually play this nice spacing team fight without a front line. Very, very, very few teams can do this well, especially on this level.
All right, I'll push back a little bit, because you know who is the frontline? Chovy, because he's playing Grass Disease.
I mean, he ended up getting tanky by the end of it, but he wasn't a traditional Ornn,
yeah, no.
Cassandra, Zac.
The other thing coming out of these fights I think is big is chasing down Lehens, which is like the Lehens special, right? Like they brought it up on Cast, I know, talking about his Singed. Lehens has been a player. Yeah.
Here, you can put this hat on if you're going to talk
because
about
I'm going to talk about
Gen G
Lehens.
player.
Okay, there we go. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Lehens is one of my favorite like LCK players of all time, because
Keep going.
because of how he does like distract people in team fights, right? Like we saw 369 peel off when it probably would have been better for him to join the rest of the fight. We saw Cream absolutely over-aggress just to try to kill this Lulu. And obviously it's a Lulu. He's known for Singed. He's known for his wacky picks, to the point where in solo queue, when he was playing these, people are like, why isn't he getting picked up by a team? Is he toxic? And it was literally just that he was playing such weird things that they were like, maybe he can't play standard stuff. But obviously he still excels in that. I think people have been really shaky on him and Pays coming into this tournament. And watching a team over chase on Lehens, given the way that he plays and his career, is just really funny to me.
And I love you going deep into analytical stories and player stories with that hat on. It's my favorite thing.
It's actually really adorable.
Yeah. TES select blue side, no subs. So, Jats, are we getting a reverse sweep? Are we getting at least one game out of TES?
Unlikely. Gen G hasn't dropped a game all MSI. The big question yesterday, after the T1 series went to 5 and the BLG PSG series going to 5, and you know, Fnatic making Gen G look mortal even though it was a 3-0, was like, who is the favorite of this tournament? I think it's Gen G. I think it's looking like Gen G because of the way that they're just handling
Where
TES
does that
right
leave
now.
TES?
Yeah, I mean, I think what TES wants, and you can kind of see some flashes of it here and there. I've talked about when this team is smart, it's about when they're able to choose team fights off of resets, timing, and then spread the map pressure that way. I think Gen G, A, hasn't allowed them to do that, but also B, they've made some pretty egregious errors in team fighting. I know people have talked about how 369 has definitely not had the tournament that you would want him to have for this team. And I think it kind of starts there. there, it starts with trying to deal with the way they play around Chovy's mid pressure as well, and trying to get Cream on something where he can make an impact and not overchase in top red side jungle, maybe.
Maybe.
But like, it's those like kind of team fighting mistakes that we've seen some of that from top this year, but they need to hone that if they're going to have any chance of beating
They need to
Gen G.
do it immediately now. They have been known to pull off a reverse sweep here and there on the international stage. So we'll see if there's something in it for Top Esports or if Gen G closes it out after the break.